We are going to talk about parent meetings.
Parent meetings.
Parents are probably as nervous or
They
worse.
are.
We need to get to that second or third layer of
Exactly.
communication. How do we do that?
So if something doesn't work, we touch base again. We'll try something different.
Think of 3 styles of meetings right off the bat. Let's dive in a little deeper into some of those parent meetings, what they might look like.
We want to make sure
Yeah.
everybody is accountable, everybody's on the same page, and that just helps the child in the long run. And that's
Yeah.
why we're doing this.
All right, well, welcome back, everybody. Hey, we are going to talk about parent meetings.
Parent meetings. Yeah.
All right. Something that staff tend to be a little bit nervous going
Yep.
into. Parents are probably as nervous or
They
worse.
are.
I can't tell you the amount of meetings I've been in where parents so are we getting kicked out?
And that's the first thing they say.
Yeah.
And that's, and that is what we really want to get away from. Parent meetings can be anything from, hey, new parent, how are you? What's going on in, your life, touching base. And it can be anything to more extreme behavioral things we're seeing with children. So there's really a broad spectrum of why we have parent meetings. And every time we do it, we're looking for a positive outcome when we're doing this. We're not...
Sure.
These meetings are not to, tell parents or even staff, hey, what you're doing wrong. It's to touch base with parents about, hey, this is what we're seeing with, little Billy. We just want to know if you've been seeing these and
Yeah.
what we can do to help little Billy be successful at school.
Yeah. So let's take it all the way back to the beginning then, where this relationship starts. Because the last thing you want to do is do nothing until you're at an escalation
The very
point and
end.
now you're like, I need a parent meeting. So just like the pyramid philosophy of building a great foundation for your classroom, great environment, expectations, practice, all that communication, developing these skills, we want to do that with these parents as well. So that starts with introducing yourself when you first meet them,
Exactly.
having a conversation, finding out about Omar and
Exactly.
what's unique. How do we help Omar have a successful experience with us? So getting through that first layer of 2, right? And then we talk about, okay, there's times where we're like, I did not expect Omar to do that.
Exactly.
And so now we need to get to that second or third layer of
Exactly.
communication. How do we do that?
Once we build that relationship, like you said, we have that foundation, then next we're more comfortable to talk, we're more comfortable to notice, hey, Omar is, bit a friend, would you like to, and then I feel like that's more comfortable. So after we, introduction, relationship, say, we'll use that example again, Omar is biting on the playground. So that is where we would stop, touch base with teachers. Hey, I've tried, A, B, and C is not working. Could we possibly have a parent meeting to touch base with the parents if they're seeing the same behaviors at home, if they are, what they're doing at home, what we can bring from their home to the center to make it consistent for Omar. So that's the second step to these, is we're diving into these, kind of touching base. It's not, it's never a, hey, you're doing something wrong, because parenting and teaching is a learning curve for everybody,
Right.
for the rest of your life. We're not going to have all
Right.
the answers, but
Yep.
if we can at least partner together and figure out, hey, Omar is set off by noises, and then we can, do A, B, and C to help compensate for Omar and then help him be successful in our program. So that way parents aren't feeling let down. We're feeling like, we can't do enough for Omar. So then if we have that partnership, we're able to communicate with parents better. We can, and we can always adjust things too. If something doesn't work, again, that's why we have the meetings too. If something doesn't work, we touch base again. We'll try something different.
So I can think of 3 styles of meetings right off the bat. Maybe we'll find 5 before we're done. So one of my thoughts is, hey, Mom, tomorrow when you drop off, can you give me a few minutes?
Yep.
Right? So that can work depending on the number of kids you have. If
Yep.
you're at ratio, if you have a second staff there,
Exactly.
maybe you need someone to step in for you, or better yet, you could step out.
Yes.
Sometimes that conversation needs to happen in front of the child. probably more often that conversation needs to happen not in front of the child.
Exactly.
Sometimes it's a modification of that conversation that mom or dad is having in front of the child at drop off. Omar didn't sleep at all. He's going to have a horrible day. Have you ever had that?
Yes. But then, it's great about that too, because then we can already have that in the back of our heads. Okay, Omar didn't sleep. He's probably going to be a little emotional. He might be a little bit cranky. He might get a little bit more tired. So then that helps us pinpoint when and where we're seeing these behaviors or what is affecting it. Because it might be something as little as he's not getting enough sleep. He's getting cranky. He doesn't like when the kids are in his face. He can't fully communicate. So that's why he's biting. Right.
So another style of parent meeting could be, hey, can we schedule a time for a phone call? And maybe it's nap time. So maybe it's 1 or 1:15 or sometime between, like for us, 1 to 2:45. So scheduling that with a parent where it's convenient, where they don't have to come in. So that's a possibility.
Yep.
And then, of course, then there is, hey, we need you to come in. And if you get to that point, and that's kind of what we're talking about, like getting to that point, one of the things I would strongly recommend is make sure you've got both caregivers, mom and dad. And that's not always easy. Maybe dad's on the road, 3 weeks out of the month, or maybe mom's on the road, but to have them both there together.
That's important.
Because the amount of discovery that happens when parents start turning on each other, which they do at home all the time, but not usually in the preschool. Usually you can learn some things when they go, come on, babe. You never tell Omar no. Right?
Yeah, but that's, again, that goes into the partnership. We want to make sure everybody is accountable, everybody's on the same page, and that just helps the child in the long run. And that's why we're doing this. The end game, the goal of all of this is to help little Omar, other little Omars in the future, so that way they aren't stuck, and we have the tools to help them be successful and move on to that next chapter of their life. So
whether you are that support professional for your program, or you're an aide or a lead teacher, let's talk about when, like at what point do you need to try to get to the second, third, or fourth layer of communication and understanding, right? The sooner the better. Sooner the better. So if I start hearing about a little kiddo in our program that our teachers are struggling with, I'm instantly thinking of going to the staff and saying, tell me about him. What is it like at home? What is the nap routine like? What is who's in and out of this child's life? What happens when the parents take him out in public? And I'll ask my staff, and sometimes they go, well, I don't really know. And that's because they're not asking the questions to get to that second, third layer of information that's key. So that's critical.
Yes, it is. I agree.
So, and then beyond asking those questions, it's okay. Have you talked to mom about this, or to dad, or to aunt? Because maybe you don't see mom or dad.
Exactly. Yeah. Before and like you said, before that step of the meeting, we're going through our teachers. Hey, did you try this? Did this work? Did you try, A, B, or C? Did you talk to mom and dad? Oh, what are they doing at home? Did you do this at home? So before we have those meetings, we want to make sure that we're doing all we can, as far as teachers, to help the students before we reach that point.
And then as teachers, if you're doing that work, hopefully you have a support professional, someone that you can go, hey, Michelle, would you sit down with me and we can roundtable this, and then your support professional or your director or your owner should be hopefully advocating for parent meetings. Now, that is not the philosophy in all programs. If it's not your program, I don't know what to say other than professionally, I would encourage you to advocate. Because I have heard programs where they are told, you tell parents every day your child had a great day, and we don't talk about bad behaviors. And respectfully, that is not how you partner with families in early childhood education.
And that's just, for me personally too, I feel like you're letting the kid down a little bit. You're almost looking past these behaviors and you're letting him fail, and that's not what we do here. We're here, like you said, to advocate for the kids, to advocate for the parents, and to help everybody with the resources we have and make sure that everybody's where they should be.
And as owners and directors and support professionals, it's our job to advocate for the child, and we do that through the teachers.
Yep.
If our teachers are starting to burn out because they don't have the support, the tools, the partnerships to be able to support, let's say, a child's challenging behavior, then we're letting our teachers down.
Yeah.
And so again, back to what I was saying before, is if I hear about a child that's struggling, ultimately the teachers are going to be struggling. I want to know, okay, when was the last parent meeting?
Exactly.
And if you hear, well, we haven't had one, tells me that that child is not on the radar of the individual that needs to advocate for that parent meeting. And again, as Shale started this whole conversation off, the purpose of that parent meeting is to have a great conversation and come up with productive, positive strategies to be able to support their child.
Exactly.
What family would not want an early childhood program advocating to try to support their child better and find out more about their kiddo?
It is scary initially. You don't know what's going on, and I think the first thoughts, like you said, am I getting kicked out? Is my kid bad? And I always like to reassure parents, I love to reassure parents, we do not have any bad kids. There's never a bad kid that comes through this program. We have kids that make sad choices. We have kids who need extra help, but I don't believe we have, and there are good and bad days, but again, there's good with the negative.
Yeah.
Even if he had to take a seat out for, hitting a friend, you know what? He was able to help me clean up after lunch, and he helped me stack those chairs. So we always want to focus on, the positive with the kids too, not just the negative. So that way the kids aren't always focusing on the negatives, and they remember that, hey, there are, there's great outcomes, positive I don't like the word consequence, but there are positive outcomes to my positive actions. And we want to emphasize that with the kids and have them remember. So there's a bug in my face. Sorry.
There's like little
right
gnats flying around here, right?
But yeah, they're never, parent meetings. It's never bad. We want to help them. We want that partnership, and that's what it really is.
Okay, so thanks for following this one. Part 2, we're going to sit right here. So this next lesson or episode is going to be talking about some of those experiences that we've had in parent meetings.
Yep. Some of the more extreme behaviors.
Yeah, extreme behaviors, extreme parents.
Yeah.
We talk about not the child being extreme, but it's the behavior that's extreme. But sometimes parents, I don't know that they get that pass.
Yeah.
But man, I could think of a few that this is going to be a good one. So make sure you watch this next episode with me and Miss Shale as we get into the actual parent meetings and what that looks like. And is there a time to release a child from care?
Yeah.
And that's never the outcome that we want.
It's not the outcome. Unfortunately, sometimes it does happen. And again, that child might need a smaller center, a one-on-one. Again, it's not that the kid is bad, but sometimes this isn't a great fit for
don't tell
everybody.
them all the answers we're going to talk about here. You got to watch the next episode. See you in a minute.